No, always a year behind.
1954. Please delete 1953.
1954. Thank you.
Don't put it over the thing. We're going to have that. There.
It's not good for the bowels. Keeps all the heat in. This is letting the heat out.
There?
Yes, all set.
Yes.
Good evening.
Oh,
good evening,
Mickey, how quick.
Well, we are always waiting for you. We always come here a little while ahead to try and organise and to arrange and to set everything as it should be set, waiting for you to appear on the scene to commence to do.
Good.
Oh, dear Mickey. I don't know what we'd do without you.
I hope you're all compass mentis.
Yes.
Well, more or less, Mickey.
Mickey chip in every now and then.
Well, why haven't you got any clothes on?
I've got a dressing gown and pyjamas on, Mickey.
Well.
It doesn't make sense. Wish you were here. A B C D E F G H I J K L M N O P Q R S T U V W X Y Z Z Z A B C D E F G
Go on,
Come on, you think of something, because
You
my
go
mind
on.
goes blank. I don't know. Yeah, Mick, got anything to do tomorrow afternoon at 5 o'clock?
Did you say your mind goes a blank?
Well, it really always is a blank. I must say that, Mick, it doesn't work very quickly.
What were you saying about tomorrow afternoon?
So if you're not doing anything tomorrow afternoon,
Oh, yes.
and you can come down and talk to me through Scamon if you like, Mick.
Well, I don't know.
Could you? Do you think you'd be able to?
Well, it's not impossible, I suppose. Everything's fine. Where is it to be held?
At Carshalton.
Where? What address?
I don't know, Mick.
Oh, that's a fat lot of help, ain't
That's
it?
that's easy
out,
for
yes.
you, darling.
Can you?
That means I've got to hang on to him all day tomorrow to find out where he goes.
Oh dear, that's sad, isn't it?
I don't think you'd like that somehow.
Well, don't put yourself out. It'd be lovely if you could come and speak though, and say something sort of good, because I'm not too
Mickey.
sure about this man.
Oh.
Yes, Auntie?
Oh, all right, carry on.
That's all right.
Well, if it's possible, I will, Les, but I make no promises.
Oh good, I'd love
What
to.
were you going to say, Auntie Rosie?
HBB told us that later on you will leave Mammouth. Is that going to be?
Well, probably eventually, yes. I don't quite know. When the changeover comes, I probably shan't be so active. I'll come occasionally, perhaps, see how it's getting on.
Right.
And then I'll be able to come as my natural self without all this nonsense.
Oh,
Oh,
goodness.
Meg.
That would be wonderful.
Would be nice.
How do you
wouldn't
mean
it?
your natural self? Speak
Oh,
in a different voice
I've
and
got so
everything.
used to coming like this now that it's almost difficult to get out of it. But if Flinty has to go up his normal routine work where I have to do certain work to help,
Yes.
and he gets onto the other vibration which they're working on Friday, then I'll be able to come back like different.
Yes,
you know?
you're on a much higher vibration,
Yeah.
Oh,
naturally,
well,
aren't you?
I'm not like I sound now.
Oh,
no, I
Lord,
know.
no. But would you speak in a boyish voice or a man's voice, Mick?
I speak in the man's voice, I hope.
Oh, we wouldn't recognise you, would we?
Pardon?
I
I
said we
wouldn't
never had
recognise
you
you
heard.
on if you spoke in man's voice, would I?
Oh, thank you. I do.
Mickey, do you
Poor old
deliberately-
lazy, don't get his leg teased, don't they?
I don't mind, Mick.
What difference does it make?
It doesn't, among friends.
Sex is only a material thing, ain't it?
That's quite true, yes, quite true, Mick.
It's the individual, the character, the soul that counts.
That's quite true.
The physical how to share is only just the vehicle of your expression while on the earth, ain't it?
Oh, yes.
Besides, I could tell you a lot about your previous... Well, I'm not going to.
Oh, yes, come on.
This is Emma Rosie, because I knew she'd jump that.
Oh, Mickey, dear, you've got a few moments to spare.
Well, Mrs. Oh, all right.
She's not there.
She'll come and call you when... Are you there?
Yes, I'm still here.
There you go with me. Yeah.
Come on, darling.
Well, of course, it's pretty obvious to me that all three of you have lived previous existences, not necessarily only on the earth plane, but over on the spiritual spheres too.
We were just...
You're not new souls by any means.
Don't you think so?
Good heavens, no.
We were just discussing reincarnation, you know, Cherub and I.
Were you?
Upstairs, yes.
I don't know whether to...
Well, I think it's pretty... To me, it's obvious that you have been brought together in this particular existence for various reasons. To do the work that you're doing, because you knew each other in previous lives, or life, I'm not quite sure whether it's one or more, but still. And also because, well, you're just right for each other. You harmonise beautifully.
Yes, well, we do.
How long are we going to be together like this?
You are a harmonic whole.
Oh, a harmonic whole, that's good.
Yes. How long are we going to be together like this?
Oh, well, that I can't say. Certainly it seems in this existence, earthly existence, you'll be together in some shape or some way or the other.
Yeah.
I think it's possible that you'll sort of, end your days together in a sense, you know what I mean?
There you are, Rose, and then we shall meet on the other side.
Of course you will.
There you are. We do now, don't we, Mick? Do we ever?
Yes, you
In
do.
sleep state?
Yes.
Mickey, can you tell me if some of my experiences during sleep state are just ordinary dreams, as we call them, or are there conditions of life on the other side in which I seem to become involved?
Well, I think that's part one and part the other. I think it's both. Some of it is your subconscious mind working during your sleep state and conjuring up thoughts, which you remember or recapture as you wake. Your brain remembers or recaptures, and some are experiences that happen when you astral travel. I think that applies to most people. But of course, you know, you're being rejuvenated during your sleep.
Oh, that's pleasant. So I look different then.
Rejuvenated.
Yes.
I wish I could be.
Oh, I don't mean in the sense of you look pretty or anything.
No, I
like
know
that.
what you mean.
But I mean, as we keep him up to par physically.
Yeah.
During his sleep state, we sort of reinforce the tissues and the body generally.
Yeah, so that for his work.
Oh yes,
Oh,
well,
yeah.
for his own good as well.
Yeah.
We think of him as well. I mean, apart from the work.
About the only one that does, Mickey.
Oh, shut up. Everybody's got your welfare at heart.
Yes, they certainly.
On both sides.
Yes.
We know what we're doing. It wasn't just by chance that you all brought together to work together in harmony and in love.
No, I don't think it was, Les.
You're very quiet, Rosie, tonight.
Well, I'm listening. I'm giving Cherub a chance to chatter with you.
Oh.
Because I have done today.
Yes. I was going to
Mickey,
say...
are there such things as flying saucers?
Well, I've seen a few around your flat.
Oh, dear.
And in Rosie's. Especially when old Lily Clark gets her hands on her.
Is she dropping?
Oh, she's terrible. She
I think now you ought to be Mrs. Dropham.
That sounds slightly vulgar to me.
Oh, dear.
Just drop 'em.
You seen anything of Laurie lately, Mick?
Yes, I think he's coming tonight.
Oh, I hope so. How is he?
Well, he always looks fine to me.
He's always the same. You're always fine, aren't you? Except when you feel sad.
Well, I think they're all ready to take over. Bye-bye.
Oh, are they? Bye-bye, Mick. Come
Bye-bye.
again before you go there. Come again before you go. That sounds good, doesn't it?
Oh, shut up.
Mickey? Come back and talk to us, Mickey.
Probably they're trying to teach somebody new to talk. Maybe somebody new is coming and they're trying to teach him how to talk.
Maybe, yes. They must have more than one sort of voice box, whatever they call it, to talk into or to think into. Because you often get sort of,
Yes.
you know, people breaking in, don't you?
Yes.
Although I don't think I've ever heard two people actually speaking at once, have you?
Not together, no.
But the breaking in is too quick for them.
Yes.
Masari.
Oh, Masari. Yes, we remember you.
You do remember me?
Yes.
Good. I wondered if you would, since it is some while since I came to speak to you.
Yes, we do remember you very well.
André.
I beg pardon?
André.
André.
Who's he?
He came through a few weeks back. Masari, I remember him.
Masari?
Yes. Oh, I forget what national. Oh, yes, Masari. He was in the French Revolution, I think, and he came to England when he was a child. Remember?
Was that he?
I think. Or am I getting mixed up with somebody? Are you there, Masari?
I was
Yes?
associated with the instrument during his previous incarnation. That is my link here.
Oh, Andrae Moreau, your name was, wasn't it? That's what you told us.
Masari.
Oh, Masari, is it? Oh, I see. Yes, André, we are very pleased you've come back again. Would you speak? Continue.
I have not yet become proficient at communicating, but I hope to be able to do it occasionally to practice this. I have rather interesting things that I want to say
Yes.
in reference to the medium, also in regard to myself in conjunction with medium, and also about the work we are doing. But it is a long story and will take quite a while for me to do it. But I just wanted to practice for a few moments, please.
Yes. Are you speaking through him, or are you speaking individually tonight?
Apart from him.
I beg pardon?
I think he said apart from me.
I see.
What makes you think I speak through the medium?
Well, the last time you came, you said that you were a part of him, and you spoke through him when he was in trance, you remember?
I think you are confused.
I think he said
I
you're...
don't remember that.
A minute, no, you weren't here.
Oh, I see.
I speak in this way.
Yes.
I am linked with the medium. It is not the medium, if you understand. No, perhaps you don't follow.
What does he mean then?
Could you explain, be a little bit clearer, please, Masari? It's rather confusing at the moment.
Hello?
Hello.
Oh, hello.
Hi,
Can
Flint.
you hear? Good.
Yes,
Can you hear what I'm saying?
yes,
Yes, yes.
A friend who just tried to speak to you, I think he rather confused you in your mind. He is a separate entity. He's nothing to do with the medium. In a sense, certainly happened, I think, to live in a previous existence at the same time as the instrument.
Yes.
Don't know if you quite follow that.
I think it was the time, if I remember right, the time of the revolution.
Yeah, I guess
Oh,
something like
that's
that.
the fella.
Yes, I thought it
Yes.
was.
Andrae Moreau or some such name.
Andrae Moreau, yes.
Yeah. He's an interesting character. I think you'll find he'll have a lot to say eventually, but at the moment he seems to get a lot confused, which is not unexpected. I mean, it's very confusing business altogether to be able to speak in this way. You find as soon as you get back into earth vibration and you start trying to link up and to communicate, you get mentally sort of confused, you know.
Yes.
You gotta keep very cool and very calm, placid. Let your mind have full control and reign, and not to worry about anything, but just concentrate on the things you're trying to say. That's why when you sit too, if you can be calm and placid, it helps. Once you start getting all jittery and all excited, the auric emanations from you get confused. You get all all out of tune, you know.
Yes.
Mm.
Right.
You know, a great deal, I think, can be explained when you realize that the great artist in your world has always got complete control of himself. He may be inwardly excited or affected in some way by the part he's playing or the character he's interpreting and so on. You'd think he might be, in a way, sort of carried away, but he's always got it completely under control. The greater artist, the greater technically, they have everything under control and in command, you know. Same applies to anything like this. You're trying to communicate. You gotta have technique. You gotta have complete self-control. You gotta sort of inwardly suppress the inward sort of excitement or whatever it is you may be feeling, you know.
Flo, at first he said he was Massari, and that's quite a different entity to Andrae Moreau, or Moreau. I think he was a bit confused there.
Well, if it was the French Revolution, he was very clear about him coming to England, wasn't he?
Yes.
Well, I don't know. I understood his name was Moreau or Massari. I don't know. Perhaps I thought he said his name was Massari.
Yes, he said Massari, yes. I remember the name quite well, and I think it was during the time of the Revolution when he was brought to England.
The only thing I can think is that he may have, in the first instance, got his name over wrong. It's feasible, you know.
Yes, yes, we understand that.
They do get terribly confused, you
Yes.
know. And names are not important over here. And it may be that his mind was confused and thought that was his name, or perhaps it was transmitted wrong, I don't know, or something like that, I expect, you know.
Yes.
This is a queer business, you know.
Yes, I expect it is very, very queer for you to come down to the dense atmosphere like this, for one thing, is all. Yes.
Of course, the more excited they get, the more bewildered they get.
Andrae Moreau, Mahmoud. Andrae Moreau.
What about him?
Don't you remember that he died in Bath?
That's supposed to be me.
Yes, supposed to be you.
That was about one of the queerest things I've learned.
Yes, I'll tell you afterwards.
Well, it can't be the same one then. Not the one that was in the French Revolution and came over to England and was educated in England and worked as a clerk in
No,
London.
that was Massari. I'm talking of Andrae Moreau. What's happened to HPB?
That's what I was wondering. She'll be along, let's see.
Phil gets in whenever he can, doesn't he?
Yes.
Good old Phil.
He wasn't very loud tonight, was he?
No.
Fun?
I was calm as cucumber tonight.
I'm
very pleased.
Good evening, HVD.
You remember
Yes.
last week
Yes.
I told you how important it was that you should become placid during sittings, not to get overexcited.
Yes.
Not only is it bad for you, but it's bad for the conditions.
Yes.
Try to be quite placid and calm, and don't become over-anxious or too excited. I know that it's natural to be excited, but try if you can to suppress it. It keeps the vibration, as it were, on an even condition.
Yes.
Did you think I was not coming?
Well, I just wondered what had happened. It's not like you not to come.
No. I usually come first. But tonight, I waited a while.
Why?
I was rather anxious for one or two reasons. To stand a little aside, see how things progressed, transpired, without my forcing my personality or individuality upon the proceedings. But I can see it's just as well that I take full control. Otherwise, in the excitement, some of them to get through, they confused you.
Yes, I don't.
They have to learn slowly and be very patient. So anxious to come through. It's one reason why we decided how it was essential to have a session, as it were, of practice.
Yes. Someone called Masari gave his name first came.
I think there was some confusion because there are two individuals with very similar name. One Masari and one Moreau.
Yes, I see.
Both, I understand, living in the same period. I don't think Masari was French. I think he was Italian.
I thought it didn't sound.
Masari. I must look up my notes for some time ago.
Got a bit loud.
Andrae Moreau was supposed to be the medium.
Well, I can explain that quite easily.
I wish you would, please.
I don't know how much you realize or how much you know about astral shells.
Not very much. I don't. Do you, Sheriff?
I have read about it.
There are times at seances when you do make contact with astral shells, which must not be confused with the real people.
What do you mean?
Well, the whole point is this, that a person may have had many incarnations, and when the person is reincarnated into your world and is existing in that world, living a life, the shells of the previous lives, containing all the memories and all the characteristics and all the personality of the previous incarnation, is in existence. It's not the person, but it is a condition of mind, a condition that has been registered on the astral plane. And a person who is a medium, sometimes, without realizing it, can contact this source of information, this source of life, if you like, although it isn't life in a sense as you know it.
But surely a shell is dormant, isn't it?
No.
There is no...
No, I don't think perhaps you quite understand. For instance, a person who is reincarnated into the material world, living in your plane, has access. Sometimes it is not possible for many to realize that the access is possible, to the astral condition of the past life. Although the spirit inhabits a new physical body, the memories and the characteristics and all that has gone before is registered. And because it is in itself part of the material, physical life, it is possible for that to have substance and yet not have a soul. I don't know how I'm going to describe this to you.
Is it a sort of a thought form?
Yes, it is a thought form that is, you might say, created by past experience. It is not the person, but it is nevertheless a part of the person as that person was, perhaps centuries ago. But it is a discarded part, at least for the time that the person is dwelling upon earth and living a new existence. But when you leave behind the physical world, the physical body, and come here into the planes of spirit, all those forms of previous incarnations are, as it were, merged into one, because the soul that leaves the earth plane merges with these astral remembrances or forms, which then become one. I don't know how I can explain this fully to you. You often hear people in your world say, I feel certain that I lived in a previous life. They may not be able to give the slightest evidence to support it, something they feel deeply within themselves. Well, that is because all around, within the auric emanation of the physical body, there are the shells of the forms of previous you. For instance, you take someone who's had 12 incarnations, or 14 or more incarnations. Each incarnation has its separate house or shell, containing all memory of that life, each important to the development of the soul. And when the soul returns to this world, leaving behind all material things forever, all the experiences of all the various astral bodies are linked together in a harmonic whole. You then become, as it were, a one, a perfect individual. You have obtained all the information, all the knowledge that the earth can give you. You have completed that sojourn through time materially, and you become then fully equipped to go forward, leaving behind all material thoughts and conditions, retaining memory of so much that has helped to make you as you are at that moment. All the old lives have merged, all the experiences have become, as it were, a complete picture. They have, as it were, like a jigsaw puzzle, all fitted in together and completed a complete whole. I know that explanation such as I can give you is a poor one, but what I want you to realize is that in most instances, individuals do return to earth several times, and in some cases hundreds of times. You must realize that time in itself is limitless and has no meaning as far as we are concerned. But everything that has happened is registered, and it is registered in such a way that the individual can immediately have access, particularly to the things that are important to him or to her. You read in your world, and perhaps you may have seen, I don't know, instances of places that are reputed to be haunted. That does not mean to say for one moment that the actual soul is present, but on the astral there is the shell, the old outer covering, the astral shell or duplicate of the individual, retaining certain memories associated with a certain spot or place, and at certain times it returns and is seen. People say, we have seen a ghost. A ghost is not a soul. A ghost is not a person. A ghost is, as it were, merely the shell, the memory shell of an individual who may have inhabited a certain place or spot centuries ago in time. There have been recorded cases where not only one person has been seen, but a whole army or armies have been seen, to once again, as it were, to the eyes of the onlooker, conduct a battle. These things are factual. They are realities. And yet, to all appearances from your side, and yet they are merely astral registrations of the powers, of the thoughts, of souls long since who have left the earth and who have travelled perhaps far into the realms of spirit and progress. I have no knowledge of what is going on. You see, you must not confuse astral manifestations. You must not confuse astral shells or thought forms with spirit people. At many seances, I know only too well that quite a number of people who come through are not souls at all, as we understand it in the true meaning of the word. They are merely astral shells. They are merely thought forms that are picked up and re-recorded or registered into your world. They have no solidity, as it were. They have no power. And what you will find about them is that there is something hollow and automatic. There is something that is repetitious. There is something that has no real, solid, spiritual foundation. I know that these things must puzzle you, but nevertheless I feel it is essential that you should know of them, even though perhaps you don't fully understand. It's my duty to try and explain them to you as best I can.
Yes, I'm glad you've done so. But these astral shells, that you call them, the hauntings, for instance, I suppose this can go on for centuries and centuries and never cease.
I think the whole root of the point is this, that the power of thought is so tremendous, is so absolutely vital. In fact, without it, there could be no life, there could be no existence.
But HPB, when these souls go right away to the beyond, I mean, into the very, very high spheres, surely those thoughts they have left behind long ago. And why should they go on for so long?
Well, they do go on for a considerable amount of time, depending, of course, entirely, I suppose, upon the power or the vitality behind the thought. You find that in all these hauntings, for instance, that there are invariably some individual who has come to a very sudden and tragic end. For instance, we take someone, shall we say, like Mary Queen of Scots, or someone who was killed very tragically without any forewarning. There is a tremendous sort of intensity about it, which is registered for quite a while on the atmosphere.
Gracious. I have read about that. It's very similar.
You know, I think only too well of people who have gone to a house and have sensed or felt something about it without knowing what, and have said to themselves, I don't like the feeling, I don't like the atmosphere of this place, I wouldn't like to live here.
Oh, yes.
Yet to all outward appearances, the house seems quite pleasant, quite light and airy and nice, and yet there is an atmosphere. Invariably you'll find that the thoughts of previous owners still linger in the walls. After all, take a séance room. You have a séance room. You create conditions. We're always talking about conditions. But what are conditions? They are obviously the conditions that you have created by your regular contacts in that room. You have created a sanctuary of love and of harmony and of peace, to which you come at regular intervals. After a passage of time, it has become, as it were, a place set aside with an atmosphere entirely of its own. It is your power of thought that has made it what it is, that has changed the whole condition and character of the room from the first time when you entered it. Conditions are vital. Atmosphere is important. And I want you to try, if you can, to realize how important thoughts are. Thoughts are living things. Thoughts are registering all around you. Science has taught you how it is possible to receive thought at a distance, and how sound is carried across the oceans of the world and picked up by a sensitive instrument. All this has been going on for centuries, and man had no knowledge of it. And so it is that the power of thought is there, to be picked up, to be registered if necessary. If you want to send your thought to someone, it's quite easy to do it. You only have to concentrate your mind upon a certain person, sending out your message to them. And with practice, you will find that that person can receive that message. Take the natives in Africa, or any of the countries so-called uneducated, people perhaps whom some are inclined to look down upon, yet they have much knowledge which would astound you. Often they knew how a person was miles and miles away. They knew how a battle was waging. They knew so many things, merely by the use and the power of concentrated thought. Everything can be registered in the atmosphere and be picked up. And that is why you do get, as we already mentioned, astral shells. There's nothing wrong about astral shells, nothing to be afraid of. They certainly can't do you any harm. They have no real life in the sense that you understand it. But they have, as it were, a power entirely of their own. But they can only work and motivate, as it were, in that particular circle of their thought. They cannot go beyond it or out of it. They cannot recount any experience that they have not experienced.
Now, one thing I'd like to ask you about a zombie. What is a zombie? I've read about them. That must have something to do with these astral shells, mustn't it?
I don't want you to get confused. I don't want you to misunderstand
You're
anything
talking about
I'm saying.
Africa, and I believe all this happened.
Well, you're talking about the natives, a certain tribe, I believe.
Yes.
Well, certain tribes probably have their own particular knowledge. Of course they have. I mean, some haven't the same experiences. They haven't the same ideas. But most natives, I'm talking perhaps more 50, 100 years ago than more today, where they have become so-called civilized. But in the old days, the natives knew a great deal. They lived nearer to nature. They were much more conscious of the power of the spirits. They often communed with the spirits, and they were often advised and guided by them, and also healed when ill and sick. They had their own methods and manners of treating the sick and the suffering, not always successfully, but nevertheless they received a great deal of help and guidance. But of course there were many also who contacted the lower forces,
Yes.
the evil forces. And you must realize that there are evil forces as well as good. But I do want you to become clear in your mind about astral shells, which in themselves are completely and absolutely harmless. They can only give to you thoughts appertaining to themselves in their previous incarnation or life. They can not tell you anything more than that. They have no life in itself. It is only that sometimes a medium's mind can sometimes pick up thoughts that are emanating from this shell or that shell and transmit to you a given portion, as it were, of a certain person's experiences. But that does not really matter. It can be very interesting. It cannot necessarily be very illuminating or helpful spiritually, but it can be interesting. It is a form of psychic which is worth study.
Well, this must be the case in Andrae Moreau.
Of course it is.
Yes.
Very strange.
It's extraordinary. I can't...
But HP.
But it shouldn't be difficult to understand, really.
Well, I think I understand. But HP, there's just one thing. An astral shell haunting. There are such things as earthbound spirits surely to do the
Oh,
same
of course
thing.
there are different, yes,
types.
but what I was really referring to was classic cases, shall we say, such as the Tower of London and
right,
places of that nature where violent deeds were done.
Yes.
You do get the reproduction at certain times, at certain
Although the
events,
person is
which are
passed
still
on.
in the atmosphere around your world. Because you must remember this, that the astral worlds do intermingle with your world.
Yes.
And that is where, of course, a great deal of the danger of spiritualism lies. One of the reasons why, although I was a spiritualist to a point myself, and knew a great deal of psychic matters, I was rather prejudiced about spiritualism as generally known, because I know there are dangers. Today, you see, you are in a material world. You are closer to the astral worlds. The astral worlds, as it were, intermingle with you. If you had the vision, you would see often as you walk about the streets many disembodied souls who have not left the earth, but are part of it, impinging themselves upon it and the peoples living therein, endeavouring to influence people. Often you pick up your paper, an ordinary, respectable person does some violent action, and there seems to be no sense, rhyme, nor reason. Often they are the victim of some astral individual, someone whose power has for a short span of time been able to penetrate the brain, mind of a person living in your world, making them, as it were, become irresponsible for their action or actions. There are many, many things we want to talk to you about, but we want you to know you must learn to differentiate between that which is real, that which is good, that which is holy, and that which is not good, that which is unreal, and that which is unholy. There is so much that we must teach you. That is why I personally am always so anxious that on the Friday nights everything shall be conducted in a proper manner, and that you shall have proper control, that you shall have proper guidance, that you shall have spiritual upliftment, all that we can give you. And why it is important that you yourselves shall do all in your power, in your thoughts and your actions, to make this communion a holy and a precious and wonderful thing. That is one reason why I do not like ordinary work done by mediums. I know they open themselves to all kinds of dangers. Do you think that I haven't studied, for instance, this instrument over a number of years, knowing that I was intending eventually to use him for a great work? I know the risks that have been taken. I know the influences that have come and that we've had to eject. If only you could realize what a great responsibility it is to be a medium, and how essential and important it is they should be guarded and protected on both sides, and above all by themselves.
No harm will ever come to him, will it, HPB?
No, I see no reason why there should be any harm come to him. But it does not alter the fact that care has to be taken. He has fortunately some very fine people helping him from this side, who've been with him for many years. But, you know, mediums are strange creatures, erratic, irresponsible, highly strung, imaginative, sensitive, and they are influenced. After all, that is what makes a medium. And if we can influence them, it is much more obvious. It is obvious that they can be much more influenced by people on your side. And therefore they must always be on guard against themselves, against the influences of individuals in your world. They must always set a standard within themselves, and never become lax, and never allow themselves to be in conditions or surroundings that are not good. That is why a medium should always protect himself to the best of his ability against all bad thoughts and influences. Why it is important he should have a home that is harmonious, a condition of love surrounding him, a condition of beauty and upliftment. All these things, to get good results, are essential to an instrument, and why we had to wait partly for this particular time to arrive when he could find himself free, find himself in a condition which would be harmonious and conducive and pleasing, so that there should be no reason for him to be affected by bad influences. As his normal work diminishes and fades, as it will, into the background, and we take more and more control, you will find a vast difference in his work. You will find a vast difference in the very conditions under which you sit, under which we ourselves come to you. We are gradually bringing about a change. I sometimes think you must be conscious of that change, and we are certainly working for that end. For our work is for humanity, to tell them the truth about themselves, to tell them the truth about life on this side and on yours too, to warn them against the dangers of communication, to warn them against the dangers to be had in contacting the wrong elements and peoples. I don't think it's possible for you, living as you do in the material world, to know and to grasp how tremendous are the phases of existence, how innumerable are the stages of evolution, how immense are the tasks that are set, those who would serve. We have much to do that cannot yet be done. There are barriers yet to be broken down. There are conditions yet to be set. And there are so many, many things that we know we shall not be able to tell you, but we shall do our best to give you as much as it is in our power to do. We only ask that you remember and realize that this is a vital and a valuable work, a work much more highly spiritual than any that has been undertaken, as far as it is in my power to know, in your world. We only ask your cooperation, your love, your understanding, and patience. Now, why do you sigh?
I do sigh.
You are still puzzled.
No, I'm not puzzled. I'm just drinking in every word you've uttered. And remember them.
But I think she is sort of rather overcome, as I was, with the thought that we should have been chosen to be the recipients of this work, to help, to participate in it.
I think part of your trouble is, as it indeed must be with most people, if not all people, of course, on your side, unless they are particularly swollen-headed, that you cannot assess yourselves. You have no power of assessing your own value. You can only assume that you are not worthy, or that you are not a fitted person for the work that is being done through you and with you. When you are in a physical body, you are limited. You do not see the outer. We can. We can see you not as you see yourselves. An individual reaching or having reached a certain stage, as it were, of physical existence with a certain amount of knowledge and experience. We see all your qualities, but above all, we see you in the whole. We see you, as it were, more completely, more completed a person. We see the old selves, the old lives that you have been, and we see you, therefore, in states of progression, all linking one with the other, bringing about a complete whole. You are limited. You can only see yourselves from the time of your physical birth to the present moment. You cannot see before that, and you cannot see beyond it. But we are in the happy position of seeing you completely, from your inception to the present moment, and sometimes a little beyond that. We know you not as you see yourselves, as Rose Crete, or Leslie Rollinson, or Leslie Flint, but we see you as a son or daughter of God, who has reached a stage of development that is conducive to our work. How nice it is to see you so calm.
Yes, as calm as a cucumber.
Yes, I'm training myself, HPP. You're teaching me slowly.
I'm still puzzled, aren't you, Rosie? Huh?
It's such a tremendous thing.
It's almost impossible for us to understand how.
If you can visualize yourself as an immense building, very beautiful to behold from the exterior, not knowing what it's like inside,
Yes, I understand.
we see you completely. You can only see yourselves partly.
Yes.
We see all the compartments, the rooms. We see all the phases, the stages of evolution. We see the color. We see the music and the harmony and the discords, even if they're there. We see you as you are, complete, up to your present stage of evolution. You can only see, as it were, one compartment, but we see much, much more. Do you think that you would today be in your present stage of evolution with your desire and thirst for knowledge of spiritual matters, in your development of spiritual awareness, and also to a degree of psychic faculties, if you had not been through many phases of existence and have reached a certain point? You are old souls. And because you are old souls, and you've come together in this life for this work, we are able to use you, to work with you, to link with you in harmony and in complete cooperation. Don't think of yourselves as you see yourselves, as you know yourselves. That is but a minute part of you. You know your failings? True. You know your good qualities? True. You know that you have this or that desire. Sometimes you feel you should subject this or reject that. Sometimes you aspire to this or that. But that is only a phase. It's only a part of you. You are still evolving. You are still moving, as it were, towards a hidden goal. I cannot explain that goal to you. That will be revealed to you when you are out of the flesh and when you have evolved more over here. But this I know, that all the compartments, as it were, of the perfect house are nearly completed. You have fulfilled your destinies. You have become ready for the great journey. Though a few years of earth time are left to you, I know that when you vacate that physical body, you will be vacating earthly things forever. You will have accomplished the work set out to do. You will have gained the knowledge and experiences that were essential for your spiritual development. And because I have no doubt in my mind that you were chosen to come back, for this work that we are to do in the next 5 years. I do not think I can say much more to you tonight. I can only ask you to ponder on these things, not to become worried, not to become harassed about them. There are some of these things that I have not explained well and must be puzzling to you. Do not become confused if you can help it. Certainly there is no reason for you to become alarmed or despondent. You must learn all we can give you, and in time you'll assimilate much. All is well. You are guided and guarded, protected by us, and we shall not fail you. The conditions under which we work are one of perfect harmony. So all is well, my friends. And so until next week, good night, and God be with you.
Good
night,
night,
HB. Thank you very much.
Very, very much.
I'm not an astral shell.
I should have nothing. I'm not an astral shell. Good night, Mick.
Good night, and don't worry.
All
I
right.
know Rosie is the funniest, don't get your brain all twisted up with it, Rosie. It's all right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, Mick.
And I'm not an astral shell.
No.
Bye-bye.
Oh, dear.
I couldn't follow half what she's talking about. I must be terribly tense.
Well, I could.
But I think your senses are dulled a bit, while they're
I think they must be.
Yes, but I read an article on that once, Rosa, a long time ago, and it was very same sort of tone, sense.
Was it?
And it said that the haunting, classical haunting, as she said, is quite often the astral shell is stirred by a mere passing.
Yeah. Okay. That's all right. Run on. Oh, yeah, just a little tiny bit left on.
Still going.
Just a little bit left on, yeah.